you die. Life is short, or some may say. What else is there but to rock it away? The nights of the hour, I do it in the shower. Never a flop, there's no reason to stop. I got my own guitar, I know all the chords. I play my cigar, lay flat on the floor. The east and the west, their battles won't matter. Only the music can settle the score. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die all alone, then turn into bone. So rock till you die. Yeah, bones should protect my eyes, and when they eat my flesh. But I got the power to win all the hours to rock my life away. The sound of the crowd, the creak of the bones. I play it so loud with my mates or alone. It don't really matter if my world should shatter. I hold it together in iron and stone. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die all alone, then turn into bone. So rock till you die. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die alone, then turn into bone. So rock till you die. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die alone, then turn back to bone. So rock till you die. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. You die alone, then turn into bone. So rock till you die. Rock till you die. Rock till you die. Rock till you die.
Hello there, Matthew J. Elliott here, taking time out from doing British things like correcting people's grammar and, well, that's it really, to congratulate you, the listener, for selecting the True Blue Riffcast. Yes, you could have picked any one of the thousands of RiffTrax themed podcasts on the web, but your perspicacity led you to seek out the #1 RiffTrax podcast, and for that, you shall be commended. Now, I'm going to turn you over to your hosts, Dave and Jeremy, and I shall board a flight back to England without even so much as the boxed lunch I'd been promised.
Well, thank you for that, Matthew J. Elliott. I am Jeremy, and this is, of course, the True Blue Riffcast, the #1 RiffTrax podcast in the world. I am joined today, as always, by...
What? I wasn't trolling the chat. What? Oh, hi, I'm Dave.
Merry Christmas, Dave. I know it's a day late, but
Merry Christmas.
it's
How
only
are
the
you?
day after
Yeah.
Christmas, so I'm good.
Only.
I'm good. I had...
You want to know? You want to know something crazy that I did yesterday after like all the Christmas things? I went
Oh,
to the
boy.
gas station.
Oh,
to buy some alcoholic beverages.
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, but and it was a little bit packed because there's nothing open on Christmas.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and for some reason I thought in my head, like, a good thing I wasn't near any, I didn't have anybody with me, to like say my thoughts out loud as I usually do as they come to me, because I was like, man, it's like, well, I mean, like, well, the other stores are going to be like, it's really crowded in here, but the other stores are going to have it pretty good because Black Friday sales start here pretty soon. Oh wait, that's Thanksgiving and Christmas
that
is
was
literally over.
Yeah. That was a month ago.
That would be silly. Like, you don't have Black Friday. Oh,
No. No.
like that happened already.
Oh, man.
And it's over.
Yes, it's over. Retail workers can can heave a nice sigh of relief finally. This week, it's still going to be nuts with returns. People taking back all the stuff that they got that they didn't actually want, and
Who
dealing
does
with that.
That's awful.
People doing it and not having receipts for things because obviously they were given to them as a gift. And I should actually switch over to the. There we go. I didn't switch over to the Riffcast thing. It was still on starting now. But yeah, it's finally over. The craziness is over, and now everybody will be short-staffed on purpose again. And yeah, it's all kinds of fun. That's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be short-staffed again on purpose because they took away literally 200 hours that we were allowed to assign to employees.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's lots of fun.
I bet lots of people love working for you guys.
Yeah, well, most of the people we have are full-time still. Like, that's their jobs are full-time, so which is a rarity in retail, but I digress. Today is our last show of the year. We always start the next year with the recap of the previous year, where we do our. Oh, jeez, we got a bot in the chat. I'll delete him in a second.
Oh,
we
it's
got
not me this time.
No, I know it's not you. It's because it's not in all caps, but.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought when I had that. Oh yes, our year in review, our RiffTrax year in review will be our next show, and we have a poll set up for everybody to give us their thoughts on the best of the year, and I'm gonna post it in chat right now. So if you want to, you can go vote right now, and you won't miss anything because you'll still be able to listen to us live while we're doing this. So there's that. Go vote. We've got
great technology we have.
Yeah, we actually have an extra category this year. We had to split up the shorts for this year because there were so many RiffTrax Presents shorts from Bridget and Mary Jo. That I wanted to give them a little bit more of an opportunity to shine in the fandom, as it were. Give them a little bit more spotlight, I guess. But we've got RiffTrax Presents Short of the Year, RiffTrax Presents VOD of the Year, RiffTrax Short of the Year, RiffTrax Just the Jokes of the Year, which we had 3 this year. RiffTrax Live of the Year, really, you just got to choose between Hobgoblins and Amityville. And then RiffTrax VOD of the Year, which, for me, was a very tough choice this year. Because there were a few that really are really good. And you are limited to choosing 3.
Well, I mean,
so that's kind of what hamstrung me a little bit. But I don't, I don't need to vote for 5 of them.
Yeah, you and me, we each year we've done this. We've chosen our top 3.
Yeah,
like our personal ones. And so basically, I already voted, and I choose my top. They're like, well, those are my top 3.
Yep.
And it's actually pretty easy for me to choose them. And now I kind of just got to choose which of those 3 are my number 1. I think I know what number 3 is. Like the number 2 and number 1 are battling out, but I think I know what number 1 is going to be.
Yeah,
I know what my riff of the year is going to be.
There was a lot of strong contenders in the second half of the year, as it usually is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's up there. You can go vote for it. We'll have it on the Twitter account and in the True Blue RiffTrax fan group over on Facebook as well. That way you'll be able to vote. Voting will close right before we do our last show. I'll give you guys plenty of notice as soon as we figure out when that's going to be, work scheduling and everything, at least on my end of things. And yeah, today we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. Toward the end of the show, we will be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home. just to give our,
Yes, it'll
our
be
thoughts on that.
It'll be the True Blue Spidey cast.
Yes, and it will be full of spoilers. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for that, if you haven't seen it yet and you somehow are not spoilered and you do still want to see it and not be spoiled, we'll let you guys know when you can leave. But we put it at the end of the show. That way, people don't hop out right at the beginning and not know when to come back for it. So, before Spider-Man, though, we will be talking.
Convenient.
Yes, we will. Excuse me. We will be talking about the last 2 new releases from RiffTrax. Of course, Dancin', It's On from Friday or from Thursday rather. Will be up there, and the one before that was Father Frost, the re-riff of the classic MST3K sci-fi era episode. One of my all-time favorite episodes of MST3K, so I was very excited for that. But we'll be talking about both of those a little bit later. First, we're going to do one of our favorite news segments of the show. What the hell has James Wen talking about?
Oh yeah. We have a question from Josh Flowers.
Then
you want to address that?
Jack the Giant Killer. Jack the Giant Killer is
We had
not
a
going to be
conversation
appearing
about
in this today, but Dave and I
We
did
did.
talk about it.
We had a conversation about it. I brought it up. Look, we can't keep doing this. We
Yeah, so
you know.
we will be our first episode of the next season, which is like the week following our recap episode. We will be talking about Jack the Giant Killer. I promise it will happen in that episode. Just to address that, Josh.
I will make it happen. I will force the issue.
Yeah, and he'll just take over the episode to get it done. So we
I can
will
do
be
it.
talking about
I've
that.
done it before.
He has done it before. He just kind of just keeps talking and doesn't stop. He'd be very good at filibustering, I think. But
that's correct. Thank you. It's one of my many talents.
yes.
Some people might think that's an insult. Not me.
No. So, Movie Head picks on Twitter, which of course is James Wen Twitter account. The newest tweet is from 6 hours ago, and it's a painting.
I think it's supposed to be. I think the painting itself is supposed to evoke the Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. Famous painting of this beautiful Starry Night, of course,
Yeah.
as the title suggests. But no, it's basically it's a forest fire kind of, but it's really like the sky is on fire. Now, this is a description of it. Climate change / global warming has caused endless fire year-round worldwide. Wildfire has changed the color of the sky from blue to orange. Orange Sky, a painting by Ryan Martin. Now, only one of those 3 sentences is true, is accurate.
Yes.
Climate change, global warming. Okay.
Here you go. Here's for the people on the chat. Here's the tweet.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing about that. You can go have a debate on global warming someplace else. That's not what we do here. But I think it's safe to say that climate change / global warming has not caused endless wildfire year-round worldwide. That would mean that our planet is an endless ball of fire.
Yeah.
And then wildfire has changed the sky from blue to orange. No, it hasn't, James. No, you're wrong. You're wrong. And then Orange Sky, a painting by Ryan Martin. It's like, okay, well, I mean, obviously he's describing the painting, but
obviously,
it's like, come on now.
That painting is the best special effect he's ever had. That's what Josh says. I mean, it's more realistic than.
And then there's a picture of him, happy holidays, happy Birdemic, and him
Happy
doing his
Birdemic.
dumbass.
And then
after that, there's a video with this lovely young lady, a conversation with Birdemic 3-star Julia Colbert, not to be confused with Alicia Cuthbert, the hottie from 24. I mean, I don't know why you would confuse her with her, but I mean, she is. I mean, she's a pretty young lady, but I mean, I'm going to go ahead and post a link to that in the chat. There you go.
it's blocked. Why is it blocked?
Then
I must have auto.
Am I blocked?
No, I must have an auto mod thing on.
Oh, okay.
On my chat. Hang on.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Okay, and then the next one after that was from December 6th. Julia Colbert, the lead actress, star of Kim, and star of Birdemic 3, Sea Eagle, is already. Wait a minute. This doesn't make any sense. Julia Colbert, Julia Colbert, comma, lead actress as Kim, ampersand, star of Birdemic 3 dash Sea Eagle, already has her green dress ready for Birdemic 3 world premiere in Hollywood, CA next year, 2022.
Has. And
then you have these two pictures of her, and I'm sure she's a nice young lady that James Wan paid some money to, but just like I
paid some money.
I can imagine. Yeah.
That doesn't sound.
James, I can imagine her in the James Wan dialogue that she's going to have to say. Be like she's like in this green dress. It's like, hi, Joanne's this morning to buy my green suit for the red carpet premiere of Birdemic 3 here in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. Global warming is going to kill us all, don't you know? And here, have a cease and desist for no reason.
Yeah. Have a cease and desist for no reason.
Cease and desist, yeah. Here, let me wreck your whole brand and all your hard work. Screw you.
Yeah. So that's what the hell James Wan is talking about. Now we get to take a look at the weekend box office, and guys, there should be no surprise what we're gonna have here.
The Matrix?
No, The Matrix is not in first place or second place.
Good. Oh, good.
Number one movie, of course, is Spider-Man No Way Home, which, again, we'll be talking about in full spoiler details in probably about an hour and a half. Then in second place, we have Sing 2. The completely needed sequel to the movie about the talent show with various anthropomorphic animals singing pop music.
So wait, Sing 2 beat The Matrix?
Yeah, by almost double the amount of money taken in. Now, to be fair, there's 2 points here. The Matrix Resurrections is on HBO Max to watch. And the second is it's just not good. So, it's not going to make that much money.
Did you see it?
Excuse me. I did watch it.
You did? How was
it?
I mean, you said it was bad.
It's campy.
I mean, it's RiffTrax related. We can talk about it.
It definitely doesn't take itself seriously, like, at all.
It doesn't?
No. Well, maybe it does, but it really doesn't. Like, it's not quite, Snakes on a Plane level, but it's campy. It's a little goofy. It's basically they're feeding off of the nostalgia for the movie.
Okay.
That people have of the first Matrix, because they kind of ignore the other two movies a little bit, and all the tomfoolery with that.
Movies were a big deal.
Yeah. In fourth place is The King's Man, which is a prequel to Kingsman, and American Underdog, whatever that is. I don't even know I haven't heard of that one.
Underdog.
The story of, oh my gosh. It's the story of NFL MVP and Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner.
Oh, Kurt Warner. Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? I might want to see that, actually.
Who went from stocking shelves at a supermarket to becoming an American football star. Yeah, I
like Kurt Warner.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then the extremely terrible West Side Story remake. Followed by Licorice Pizza, which the only reason I'm mentioning it is because last week it was in the 14th spot, and this week it's in the 7th spot.
Isn't that by Paul Anderson?
I don't know, but it had a 2,610% increase.
That is a big number.
Yeah, it's the story of Alana Kane and Gary Valentine growing up, running around, and going through the treacherous navigation of first love in San Fernando Valley in 1973. Okay, that's interesting.
Licorice Pizza. Director Paul Thomas Anderson.
But it's I brought up West Side Story because that does kind of have connections to the first movie that we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
And it's more direct than you might think. But we'll get there when we get to this point in the story. But we are going to be talking about Dancin' It's On from David Winters.
Oh my goodness.
Who he produced and directed this movie. And it
What
was
else did he direct?
David Winters also directed. Hang on, I'm bringing it up here. He also directed Space Mutiny.
Space Mutiny.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about Space Mutiny and this movie.
Yeah,
For those of you who have seen it.
they have nothing in common at all. At all. But yeah, he was a choreographer, producer, director, all that stuff, and then of course he got Space Mutiny. But when he was a dance choreographer, he choreographed some Elvis Presley movies, like Viva Las Vegas, which I thought was kind of interesting. He did the 1976 A Star Is Born, and he was also in the Broadway version of West Side Story.
Nice.
So-
I think it should also be pointed out that this was David Winters' final movie before his death.
Yeah. And this came out 2015.
15. Yeah.
And he died 2 years ago in 2019. But it was also written by David Pryor.
Oh, why do we know that name?
Because he actually did a few movies that we have in our RiffTrax catalog here.
And they're not. It's not slim pickings. It's
No.
not like little tiny things. They're
There's a
big,
few of 'em.
huge RiffTrax movies.
Yeah, Deadly Prey,
Tell them, Jeremy.
Future Force, and Future Zone. Like,
Wow. I mean, I'm not saying that those are cornerstone RiffTrax movies, but those movies are big deals.
oh yeah, definitely big deals.
And also have not at anything at all like Dancin', particularly the dialogue. This movie probably has the worst dialogue, and it's probably made all that much more worse by them not hiring a single real actor.
yeah, the main character, the main female character, Jennifer, she is played by Whitney Carson McAllister, and she got her start in the spotlight as the runner-up in a season of So You Think You Can Dance in 2012. And now she's one of the professionals that the celebrities get teamed up with on Dancing with the Stars. Her most recent partner was, of course, WWE superstar The Miz, which I thought was interesting. She came in second place once with Kel Mitchell from Keenan and Kel and, Good Burger. Which I thought was...
Yeah. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Man, take your order.
I just thought that was an interesting... So she actually...
Wait, that was Keenan? Or no, Kel?
No, that was Kel, yeah. But she's been in a bunch of... No. He was in Dancing with the Stars. The captain is somebody completely different.
For some reason, my mind jumped to the. I thought we were going down the cast list, and I for some reason my mind thought that you had said that Kel was the captain, the not the maitre d, but just like the door guy.
No. He played. He was played by Russell, some guy named Russell. That was the first. That was the guy that played the captain. The captain was the doorman at the hotel. But we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves as far as as far as story stuff is concerned. So this movie, what do they call it in the riff? Oh, that they thought they could make an edgy version of High School Musical. And it's funny because when I first turned it on and it was just starting, my 13-year-old walked in and she was watching it for a second. And she's like, "Is this a knockoff of High School Musical?" Like, it does feel like it.
There's no singing in it though.
Thank the Lord.
There's a background song that we will talk about.
All of the background music in this is terrible. But some of it has some interesting lyrics. Yeah, this song that shows up twice in the movie. But we start off with seeing both of our characters for the first time, Ken and Jen. Excuse me.
What are their last names?
Just says Jennifer and Ken.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, it's not there's not a lot of that type of stuff in here, but we've got we start off with Jen's in school and she is dancing around. She's on the cheerleading squad, she's doing gymnastics, and of course she's dancing a lot. Because that's all they do in this movie is they just dance around a lot. And it follows her around a little bit. She's getting ready. The semester's ending, and she has to go stay with her father in Panama City, Florida. Her and her mom are rich. They're super hoity-toity in Beverly Hills. And she goes off to Panama City, Florida, where the dad owns a famous hotel. And she's like, "Oh, great, I get to go stay in a hotel and, be bored and not do anything." And it's intercut with shots of Ken, who is a dishwasher and like a laundry porter or something. He does a lot of different stuff at the hotel, including dancing in the lobby because, of course. And so she goes to her dad. She gets met by the head bellboy, Danny, right? He was Danny. And, of course, he's this handsome-looking, prim and proper guy. And her dad is trying to set them up together throughout the movie. She goes up to her room.
He has a side job at NCT Software.
Yeah, okay, look. The acting in this, like Dave said, it is... The movie itself is not the worst movie that RiffTrax has ever done. It's not even the worst movie they've done this year, by far. I mean, we did have to sit through Copper Mountain and Baby Ghost. But the acting is is up there. The acting might actually be worse than what we saw in Baby Ghost. Like, that's
the
so.
the acting is bad. I don't even really want to call it horrendous now that I think about it. It's just that they just don't act, and not that it's really bad. I mean, it is bad acting, but if like they're not acting, they go in there and they're just like these trees that have like come to life and taken human form, and it's like they've never spoke. Like they go in there and be like, okay, say these words. Well, Dad, I love you and everything, but I don't think you should be making these decisions for me. Like, it's like, no, that's what the delivery is like.
That's literally, that's how they act.
And that's like that, and that's not just one chick. That's not just Jen. That's every single character.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two characters that have distinct personalities from any other character in the film, and it's the dad because he's from Australia, right? And that's the only reason he's a character. And two is the captain, and because he's funky. That's his whole character, and that's it. That's all you get.
Well, I think Mr. Sanders kind of gets a few things in there. Mr. Sanders, by the way,
Right.
David Winters, the director of the film. But, of course, he inserted himself in as a man who lost his son in the military when his helicopter blew up, which we see during kind of a dream sequence thing. And
Is that what that was?
yeah, that was his son dying, which, of course, he wouldn't have witnessed it because, his son would have not.
Apocalypse Now.
Well, yeah. They do actually make an Apocalypse Now reference there, but he's a famous dance choreographer, and yeah, that's his character.
Dance. When it's revealed that he was a dance coordinator, be like, "What do you do? I dance. What do? You don't know nothing unless you can dance. Shut up," or something. And this
you don't know anything about dancing. He's like, I don't know dancing.
And he busts the stupidest move you've ever seen. And Ken is just like, oh my gosh, he's a genius. He's amazing.
I actually think he was doing part of his routine from West Side Story. And the main reason I think that is because as he stops, he kind of has his hands in front of him and they're like in a snapping position, like they're ready to snap. Which would be obviously West Side Story. They're walking and they're snapping and they're doing ballet moves. So I think that was at least supposed to be a reference to that. I don't know if that's actually what it was, but that's my guess. And I'm probably giving him way more credit here than he deserves for that. But that's my guess anyway on what that was supposed to be.
Watch the move that he busts. Go watch the riff and watch the moves that he busts. like when he and Ken are having this argument.
Yeah, it's.
And then Bill says, like, Ken says, "Who taught you that?" And Bill says, "I don't think that's something that has to be taught."
Yeah. Oh man, but she ends up she sees Ken dancing in the lobby, as we mentioned, and she decides to kind of start talking with him and flirting with him a little bit, and he takes her out on the town, and they go to a souvenir shop, which was very much a tourist trap thing with like a big killer whale inflatable or something in front of it.
The big old orca thing that's like bent in half.
He takes her to a beach, and he takes her to an ice cream, a ye old ice cream shop, and they start a food fight with the ice cream.
A food fight, which they should have gotten thrown out of that.
Yeah, that's the joke. There's a couple stills after it, and they're just like, one of these pictures is hanging up in the ice cream store next to the register where it says "Banned for Life." Which they very much should be, because the poor people who work at that little ice cream shop now have to clean up their mess, all because they wanted to have a little bit of flirty fun.
So yeah, and so they go back to the hotel and I think or something.
I don't remember exactly.
Don't they have a little argument? And they'll be like, "Well, I don't think we should. Why not?"
No,
ruin,
that's right after it because
why ruin a perfectly good night with having sex? It's just like
no, that's with the other guy, because
no, it happens twice.
Does it?
Because I think Ken says, "Let's not ruin. Like, I don't think we should do this," and then she gets all huffy and pissy. And
Oh
goes
yeah,
away.
yeah. That's right.
Because she wanted to bang. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and then
But she and she probably did her lines like, "Hey, why didn't you come upstairs? We can engage in sexual intercourse. Will that be the greatest?"
the next morning, her dad's having breakfast poolside because that happens a lot in this, and he tells her that she's going to go out with Danny. And she's like, "I don't."
It's like, "Oh, I've got an arranged marriage for you, mate."
That's where it comes in the line where she's like, "I don't think you should be making these decisions for me." And she's like, "Besides, I already met somebody, and we like each other." And he's like, "Oh well," and she's like, "In fact, he works at this hotel." And he's like, "Oh, what does he do here?" And she's like, "Oh, he washes dishes, among other things."
Yeah. It'd be like, and then he's like, he doesn't even know who the guy is. Like, okay, I don't want to see that guy that works at my that does menial jobs at my hotel. I want you to date this other guy that does menial jobs at my hotel. And she's like, "Well, I guess I don't have a choice. I'll go over here and go out with Rod from ACT Software."
And then she goes and she talks to Ken while he's supposed to be washing dishes. And she's just like, "So my dad's making me go out with Danny, and I don't really want to do it, but I have to." And he gets like super mad and
he gets super pissed,
storms off. Like she tells him like, "I'm not even going to try to have a good time." And Ken just gets so mad and storms off. And he definitely has some anger issues because he's always like throwing dishes and smashing them and kicking chairs into the pool and, knocking over trash cans and all kinds of stuff while he's angry dancing his way.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? Like that's how Ken lets off steam. Like he'll go out to the pool and just be like, just bust, be like that's how he gets his anger out. He dances the anger away. But the thing is, it doesn't work because the dancing makes him more angry.
Yeah, because that's after he angry dances by the pool. That's when Hal comes out
and takes an impromptu shower. Like what was it like?
He goes over to the pool shower that you're supposed to use before you get into the pool, and he just like turns it on for like 2 seconds and then turns it back off and dances away. And then Hal comes out after he wakes up from his explodey helicopter dream, and because he sees him out there dancing, and he comes out and he's like, "Ah, you blew it." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you were good, and then you kicked that chair into the pool. That's when you blew it, kid." And that's when he does his little. That's when he does his little dance seizure that he has, and and Ken's like, "Oh, you're
impressed.
An amazing dancer."
He's so impressed. It looked like he had just seen God. like God, Jesus, Buddha, and the devil all came down from wherever they are, and just did the most amazing thing right in front of Ken. He can't believe what he saw.
Yeah, and it obviously wasn't great. And he decides that he's gonna ask him to choreograph the dance for him and this girl named Shotzi.
Shotzi. Okay. Here's the thing with. Can I say something about Shotzi real quick?
Sure.
She's hot. Yes. I'm gonna have to start stalking her on Twitter and on
she's
Instagram
the redhead, right?
And all this. Yeah. It's yeah. But I mean, she's that being said, she's a terrible actor.
Yes, she is also another person from So You Think You Can Dance. Just throwing that out there, but
Yeah.
She
Aren't they all from So You Think You Can? So You Think You Can Dance?
most of them, yeah, I think most of them had a thing on So You Think You Can Dance. But she is in love with Ken. She wants Ken.
For some reason, yeah.
Yeah. Go figure. And so she's kind of upset that, Jennifer's into him too, because he's acting like he's into her. And, because of course. And I don't know if she also likes Danny, or if she just completely
no one likes
is.
Danny.
So she's just completely settling for him then. Okay. That's kind of what I thought. But
yeah. Wait, do they end up together, or are they just dance partners?
I think they're just dance partners, but I'm not really sure exactly. They don't really
anyway.
they don't give us a lot of plot points in this movie. Nothing is really explained other than the fact that there's a statewide dance competition and they need to win it, damn it. And Ken convinces Jennifer, or not Ken, sorry, I'm getting these people all confused because they're not important and they're not good actors, and it's
Ken
hard to remember who's who.
Shotzi
To get Hal to be their choreographer. And Danny really wants to win this dance competition. It's all about winning. That's all he cares about. That's the only reason that he wants to do it. And he gets Jennifer to be his partner.
after they go on their terrible, awful date.
Which Captain is just like, "Did you have a good night, ma'am?" And she's like, "Not really." And he's like, "It's okay. It'll only get better." As she's leaving. And then Danny's like, "What'd you say?" And he's like, "Nothing, sir. I just told her to have a good night." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought." And there was something really weird that happened in this scene. When Danny and the captain were talking to each other, they were not looking at each other. Like, Captain was looking off into the distance, off to the left, because the other guy was in the foreground of the shot. So he should have been looking toward the camera, at least a little bit. But he was looking off to the left, like not looking at him at all while he's supposed to be looking at him. That struck me as...
Their eye lines were messed up.
Oh, completely. So Danny and Jen get into a fight. Hal decides that he's not going to be the choreographer for Ken and Shotzi anymore, because Ken isn't really trying that hard, because he really doesn't want to be partners with Shotzi. He wants to be partners with Jen. And so Jen and Danny have like an argument. She's like, "I just need to figure things out." And Danny's like, "Well, I'm going to go get a soda out of the lobby. And when you figure this, when you've got it all sorted, then just come find me." And when she goes to go find him, that's when Shotzi and him are like snuggled up at the table, because Shotzi feels bad and he's like consoling her. And so Jen's like, "Oh, he's cheating on me." And gets like super angry about that. There's a lot of people get angry a lot in this movie, like over the dumbest, littlest things.
Mm-hmm.
And so she ends up teaming up with Ken. They get Hal Sanders to come back, and he sees the passion that they have with each other, and he's like, "I don't really need to teach you anything. I already told you. You have what it takes with you all along. It's right in front of you." And then he just leaves.
You don't need a magic feather. The magic feather.
And so then they go to this nightclub, which is supposed to be the largest nightclub in the United States. And they very clearly use footage of a crowd from a completely different event to make it look like there's thousands of people packed into this nightclub. And they have their dancing competition, and we see a total of 3 teams competing, and 2 of the teams are the main 4 characters.
I think we should point out that Danny and Shotzi, like, the teams switched. Like, Danny and Shotzi are now a team, and Jen and Ken are now a team.
Yeah. Yeah, after Jen teamed up with Ken, then Shotzi went with Danny.
after that being like, well, yeah, and Danny's just a horrible person, I guess.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, for daring to show interest in a woman. I don't know. Also, can I say something about Shotzi? I mean, I already said that she was a hottie and I want to marry her, and that she's a terrible actress. But beyond that, have you ever met a woman in your life with the name Shotzi?
Not even someone with the nickname of Shotzi.
Like, I don't even know where that's from. Like, what would that be like? What would that be like short for? Like,
I think once again you're giving the people you're giving the people behind this movie way too much credit, and the fact that they actually thought any of this through.
So they just invented a name.
Yeah, I mean, she probably got it. I would say in college, but I think they're supposed to be teenagers. Even though, as Connor pointed out, all teenagers in this movie are played by people aged between 24 and 28. And
you can't. I mean, that's not exclusive to this movie.
I know, but they don't really
Hollywood teenagers. Hollywood teenagers are 30-year-olds.
Yeah, but we don't know if they're actually like supposed to be, because they don't ever mention what any of these other people do. So, like, if they're supposed to be college students or
I think Jen is in high school.
I think she is too, because it looked like a high school and not like a collegiate anything. But
yeah, because that would be a very bad junior community college right there.
And if she's that rich, she's not going to be attending some crappy little junior college.
Yeah.
She'll be going to like Stanford or something out in California. But of course, Jen and Ken win the dance competition and they smooch, and Mom and Dad, who are divorced, are together in the crowd because he called her and she flew all the way from Beverly Hills to watch her daughter be in this dance competition, and they started kissing each other. It was really weird. Oh, you know what? There's one scene in this movie that we didn't talk about that we need to talk about. Ken and Jen are back together on the beach. It's when Ken is talking to her about being her dance partner, and they're getting close to each other, and this dude sitting in a chair is just like, "Hey, what are you waiting for? Kiss her already." And so they start making out right there. And like everybody is watching them and reacting. And they give like 4 people lines to react to this kiss. It's very weird.
Go. Woo.
Like if you're in public and you see people kissing, you're usually gonna not sit there and stare at them. And
I'm also kind of repulsed by people kissing, honestly.
Make audible comments at them, unless you're gonna go, "Ew, get a room" or something like that,
Yeah,
but
you're not gonna like cheer them on. It's like your slippers and tongue.
That would be horrible. Like, maybe that's if you don't like people doing PDAs like that. Instead of just looking away or going, "Ugh, get a room," start cheering them on, because that'll get them to stop. 9 times out of 10, I would imagine that unless they, like that kind of thing, they're going to be mortified that people are like cheering them on, and they're going to stop and get embarrassed. So try that next time. It might work. Who knows?
Did we talk about the mime?
Oh God, no, we did not talk about the weirdest, like, ancillary character in this movie.
Is a mime that pops up.
Is this mime. And he only shows up like maybe 3 times throughout the movie. He's there at the airport when she comes in, and she goes to this like luxury vehicle, and the mime pops up and he's like, and he like points this way. Obviously he doesn't say but that's the noise you make when you're doing like the finger wag. And so I have to do it for the people who are listening. You didn't say please. We don't need to get into Dennis Nedry. But the mime shows up and guides her to this golf cart. And when she's riding in the golf cart with the mime like on the back behind her, they're going through and like all these people are like standing around and they start cheering for her and dancing a little bit. And Kevin or Bill, one of the two, was like, what the hell is going on? Is the Pope on the next flight in or something? And like, why would there just be all these people standing here and cheering for this rich girl from Beverly Hills that nobody knows? Like, unless the dad went by and like threw money at everybody beforehand and like, my daughter's coming in. Oi, my daughter's coming in.
Oi, this is a knife.
And, you know, he like pays them all to be there to cheer for her, which I could see that happening because that's the kind of person this dad seems to be.
He owns one hotel.
Yeah.
In Panama City.
He's rich though. He's not like super rich, but obviously rich enough to have some pull with some things. But then the mime shows up again when Jennifer is going around being all sad, and like they're playing some song behind her. I don't even remember what that song is because I only remember the one song that we're going to talk about in just a minute here.
Yeah.
But the mime is like following behind her and like miming that he's sad. Like he keeps popping up, like she walks by a pillar and all of a sudden he pops out from behind the pillar and does the little hands in front of the eyes, you know, like the crying thing. And he does a couple motions. It's almost like he's just mocking her sadness at this point. But then you never see him again. So it's kind of like, what? Why is there just a weird mime?
In the crowd at the biggest club in the state of Florida or something.
Yeah, no, he wasn't there to even watch him dance.
It
was very bizarre.
Ate him.
Yeah, it was just a very, very bizarre thing to have in this already really weird movie.
Yeah, so let's talk about probably the most bizarre aspect of this movie.
Yeah, this is even weirder than the mime. There's a song that they play twice in this movie. It's a love song, like it's talking about like I would do this. It almost sounded at first like it's gonna be like a cover of that song by the Proclaimers, like about walking.
It's very power ballady.
But one of the first lines, honest to God, it sounds like the guy. And if he's not actually saying this, I have no idea what he is actually saying.
I can't imagine he's actually saying that.
But I don't know what else it could be.
But it does sound like that's what he's saying.
It sounds like he's saying that in order for this person that he's singing about to love him, that he would try being a lesbian.
It's like, I haven't tried being a lesbian.
And it's like, what?
Yeah, it's...
What?
It's like, what? And like Bill takes notice of like try to be a lesbian.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
And then it sounds a little bit later on in the song, like in the next verse, it sounds like he talks about, I'd even hold another man's hand. And they're just like, okay.
What is
this guy
this
really?
Song?
Yeah, this guy's just willing to try anything gay at all, just anything. Just he seems very open like that.
Here's the thing. It can't possibly be what he's saying.
No.
Okay, there is a very famous, I don't want to say meme because it was around when you and me were younger, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And it was this game called Super Mario 64. And whenever you fought Bowser in this game, you would spin him around and you would throw him away. And every now and again, when you would throw Bowser into these big explodey spike things, Mario would say, or what it sounded like he said, say, "So long, gay Bowsy." Okay?
Yes.
Now, there's no way that's actually what Nintendo wrote Charles, what's his name, to say.
Yeah.
'Cause that's insane.
There's no way.
So there's no way Mario's actually saying "So long, gay Bowsy." It's clearly something else.
Yeah.
And I think everybody is, I don't know if we're mishearing it or it's not very clear what the actual lyrics are, but we don't know what the name of this song is. So we can't Google it. We can't go to lyricsmonster.info. And
I'm looking right now, and I'm trying
really
to see
says.
if I can find anything. Maybe if I go to the end of the actual poster for this movie has everybody jumping like in midair, and
Jen is just like trying to hold her dress down. Yeah,
yeah, but it's the guy who plays Danny. I keep wanting to call him Denny. The guy who plays Danny.
Can't imagine.
Is like doing this weird like twisty jump, and you can tell that none of these people, it's not their heads on any of these posters, but there's it's so bad. Like, oh my gosh, everything about this movie is not great. I mean, some of the dancing is fine. There's a lot of spinning in this movie.
There's
a whole lot of
like
spinning,
throwing your legs up over your head, and and just like when you just like jump into the scene, you do this kind of like weird flip with like your hands to your sides, and you like your legs just flying over you, and you land perfectly on your feet, that kind of thing. Yeah,
it's. I mean, the choreography is fine in this movie as far as dancing is concerned. The choreography it's fine. There's nothing like atrocious necessarily, unless you count the old guy doing his little thing that he calls a dance. Yeah. And that might be atrocious, but everything else in this movie, as far as that's concerned. Oh yeah, the dialogue and the delivery is just
I mean, I think just like
it's Birdemic levels.
Something I've never. No, it's worse than Birdemic levels, like dialogue and delivery. Like it's worse than that. Like it's so this is like something different entirely. Like as far as like it's I've never seen something like this before. Like it surpasses Birdemic in terms of like just like almost every single character going in there and just blurting out their lines like they'd never spoken before.
Yeah.
It's
yeah, no, it's not great.
Like I think that's ultimately
not even
what
good.
I'm gonna remember. That's ultimately what I'm gonna remember about about this movie.
How bad the dialogue was and the acting.
Yeah. That's gonna be just like all the like trees have more personality than the characters in this movie. Actual literal honest to God trees have more personality than these people.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to reiterate the point I made earlier. The acting in Baby Ghost is better than the acting in this movie. Just let that ruminate for a second. Because
all right,
the acting in Baby Ghost is not great at all. I mean, if you've seen Roller Gator, you know what the acting is like in Baby Ghost, but it's worse in this. Completely worse than this. And now, as soon as we're done, I'm going to hunt down this soundtrack. And I'm going to find it, and I'm going to figure out what that guy is saying.
That is like, but instead, because it can't possibly. I will give you $1,000. I will give everybody listening live in chat right now $1,000 if what it is really what he says is I'm trying to be a lesbian or words to that effect.
Yeah, because there's no way.
It can't possibly be that. And if I'm wrong, well, try to enforce what I just said.
It's not his words are not legally binding, folks.
If I was wrong and somebody actually tried to come in like, well, give me $1,000, like, oh, okay, well,
that'll happen.
Let me tell you how jokes work.
'Cause yeah. Yeah, so Dancin', it's on. Dave, the big question.
Yeah.
Would you watch this movie unriffed?
I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty girls in it, but I don't know if that's enough to hold my interest. It might have been 20 years ago, maybe even like 10 years ago. Not now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a solid maybe. How about that?
A solid maybe.
Solid maybe. I mean, I think I might watch it just for like the train wreckness of it.
Yeah, because it's definitely
up there as far as train wrecks go. I didn't hate watching it. I didn't hate watching it the way I hated watching Copper Mountain. Like I was, just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I knew what it was, but it's just, yeah. I'm gonna say maybe. I can't give you a solid yes or no, but like usually it's just like no way. But this, it's up there. Like it's got personality. Even though, I mean, the fact that the actors don't have personality is what gives the movie personality. Ironically,
all right, I can. Yeah.
Paradoxically. So what would I watch it unriffed? I don't know, but I'm probably gonna watch the riff again. This is definitely multiple viewing riff.
Definitely, I would agree with that. I don't.
What about you? Would you watch this movie unriffed?
I don't think I would. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I might have watched it unriffed before I saw this, the riff of it, because I watched A Talking Cat unriffed, and it really feels
better than that.
Yeah. So I might have watched it. Like if I knew what it was and I had seen people talking about it and like, oh, this movie is like one of the worst and you gotta watch it, you gotta check it out and just see how bad it is. It's hilariously terrible. Like then I probably would have turned it on. And I don't know. I might have made it through the whole thing. I mean, there would have been a lot of like, this is ridiculous what's going on right now. And I don't know if I would have like been laughing as much just at the movie itself, like some of these other ones that you can watch alone. But I don't know. Maybe. I'm with you. Maybe.
Well, I think the headline here is that neither one of us said there wasn't a flat out no from either one of us.
Yeah. There's a possibility that it would be watched.
Yeah.
Sans riff. I'm looking at the film's credits right now because I'm trying to get to the. I think
Are you
the name
still
of the
on
song.
about that song?
I think the name of the song is "Somewhere in the World Tonight" because it's listed twice as two different versions. And it's
called "Somewhere in the World Tonight." Live Googling
written
here
by,
on Twitch, ladies and gentlemen.
produced by lead vocal Frankie Vinci.
"Somewhere in the World Tonight."
Yeah, but if you look it up, you're gonna get just this Christian song. Or it was also performed by Drew Arcolio. There's two different versions of it listed. But it was written by Frankie Vinci / J.D. Southard. Southard? Southard. Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Who knows? And honestly, who cares?
Yeah.
I'll continue looking it up after this because we have to move on to the next movie.
I think you're going on a wild goose chase with that, man.
Probably.
I don't think that movie exists. I don't think that song exists outside that movie.
Maybe I'll watch it on Amazon Prime with captions on.
Ooh.
And they might have captions for for that. I don't know. We'll see. Sometimes they caption songs that are playing. Sometimes they don't. Who knows? But I think it's time to move on now to our next movie that we're going to be talking about before we start talking about Spider-Man, and that is Father Frost. Now, I don't think we're going to have to get too
Father
deep
Frost.
into this one necessarily because, again, it is a re-riff of a classic MST3K episode. For me, I honestly, that's my all-time favorite MST3K episode was Jack Frost. And of course, there was a few things cut out, mostly for time, I'm assuming, because nothing was really out of line with the rest of the movie that they cut out. And in fact, I only really noticed one scene that was different, and it's when Ivan, the self-centered dude, is walking. He's leaving his mother's house, and he's like looking in his mirror as he's walking through the village, and all of these women come out to sing at him. And it's the original language for the movie. And oh my gosh. It is a little ear splitting.
A little tiny bit.
Yeah, and there's one woman who sings, who's walking, and he just ignores her and goes back to looking in his mirror. And then there's another one who's like hanging out of her window singing. And then there's like a whole gaggle of them that are singing. And then he's like walking through the woods on his own after that, and he's singing a song that's also still just in the original language. And we get a great bit here with Mike doing a translation of it, and how it's about how he's so much hotter than anybody who loves him can know, and he'll kill them all and bloody murder, and it gets a little dark, but it's funny.
I will say about Father Christmas, of the two re-riffs, or Father Frost, or whatever this thing is called.
Yeah.
Of the two re-riffs they did this year from MST3K,
Yep.
I think this is the superior one.
Really?
I think probably the Hobgoblins re-riff, for as much fun as it was to be back in the theater.
Yeah.
I think and this is going to be the only time you ever hear me say this. I think probably the MST3K version is probably better
And it's
than
not
the RiffTrax Live version.
It's not necessarily because of the jokes here either, folks. We talked about this movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of the stuff that because it was the full movie, not that cut down for TV one. And some of the stuff it was better without it.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. I've been a long time defender of Hobgoblins and about how it shouldn't be considered one of the worst movies ever made. And I was basing that on the MST3K cut.
Sorry, Rick.
And it's like, what? This is fun. I mean, yeah, it's stupid, but it's not the worst movie ever made. The full cut. Boy, it's like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah. Like the rake fight in the front yard, the full 10-minute long rake fight. Yeah, even Josh agrees. The rake fight. Wow. Yeah, it was better without that scene. Being a 10-minute long rake fight,
as long as it was. So I think that now I'll still defend the Hobgoblins MST3K cut, and I'm not trying to denigrate the RiffTrax Live version at all. I'm just saying that the movie in that form is a slog.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to get through in certain parts.
Yeah, it's but as far as this re-riff goes, I think it's excellent, and I think it's actually better than the MST3K version.
I do too. I enjoyed it a lot more. Not to say that I still wouldn't be able to go back and watch the other one and enjoy it, because, and again, I want to bring this up because we've talked about it at length, and we talked about it at length with Mary Jo Peel, and she's in the same thoughts that we are. What's it matter if they redo it? It doesn't get rid of the original. The original one is still there. Like, it doesn't take anything away from that one at all. And, you know, if you're one of the people who are mad that they're redoing MST3K stuff, you know, it's just like saying
it doesn't matter.
It's like saying Ghostbusters Answer the Call ruined my childhood. And the only reason I say that is because we've been talking a little bit about Ghostbusters recently because of the new movie, but you know, it doesn't.
That doesn't
it
stop
doesn't.
It from being a horrible movie.
Yeah, if you don't like that one, it doesn't.
The movie was bad.
It doesn't ruin anything about the original Ghostbusters because it's its own thing. It's this new, you know. If you were one of the people who watched
memory hole it.
yeah, they aren't including it in the big collector set that's coming out when Afterlife comes out.
They left that turd out of it.
I can't really say I blame them necessarily, but
about that movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's just like people who were complaining about the first half
re-riffs
of Masters of the Universe Revelations. This one I'm bringing up because I just watched the second half of it. It was recently released.
Is this the cartoon, the Netflix cartoon?
Yeah, the one that Kevin Smith was in charge of. The first half.
Yeah, that's bad. It's bad.
A lot of people are just like, I can't believe they're doing this. They're setting it up where, you know, Teela's going to be He-Man and she's going to get with this other new character that they brought in. And, oh my gosh, they ended the first half of the season. Spoilers! Sorry, with He-Man getting stabbed. And so everybody was mad about it. And then they brought out the second half.
Can I say? Oh, did they? Well, can I just say that I'm among the people who were mad about that? And I was just like, this is garbage.
The second half came out, and I watched that.
Did it?
While I was quarantined, and
I didn't even know it came out because I thumbed it down, and I guess I didn't get it.
The first half wasn't the greatest. I'll agree with that. But the second half, especially the final battle, I felt like a kid again while I was watching it. I felt like a little boy watching He-Man and getting exactly what I wanted it to be and exactly how I remembered the movie or the TV series, the old cartoon. There was some really, really, really good stuff in the second half. Like, it was a very slow burn to get there, but once they got there...
How many episodes is it?
It's like 6.
Okay.
But I watched them all. I watched them all in a day,
again.
and it was really good. You have to excuse me. I have to go get like a lozenge or something. I'm still not completely over the effects of COVID, but I'll be right back. Go ahead and keep talking, Dave.
Okay, well, I'll talk to the chat. So what's up, chat? This is you and me again. Me, Dave Chadwick, and the chat. I think Josh Flowers is in there. Maybe a couple other people in there. What's the best RiffTrax redo? Probably Manos, I would have to say. If you had a gun to my head, Manos. Let me tell you something about the Manos redo. As far as I don't even remember the MST3K. I mean, like, I know that it happened, obviously, and I remember watching it, but I don't remember anything about the MST3K episode anymore. Like, anything specific about it. I don't. I have no memory of it because the RiffTrax version was so good that it just took all that occupies all of the Manos space in my brain. So best RiffTrax.
And I'm going to agree with
Manos,
that.
The Hands of Fate. Yeah.
I think Manos, simply because, I mean, it was a huge deal when they did Manos, like a huge deal, because obviously it was a live show. But yeah, I agree 100%. And a close second, Father Frost, as far as I'm concerned, personally. This was one that I was hoping that they would redo. And when they released Jack Frost, Like, I saw the notification for the tweet that just said Jack Frost. And I'm like, oh, man, is this the Jack Frost? Like, the one that they did? And it was the Killer Snowman one, but, you know.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. And I think the reason that they chose to go with this title was to avoid confusion in the library with the Jack
and
Frost.
It is one
that
of the other
already
titles
exists.
that the movie was released under. So, you know, it's not like they they just made it up. It's kind of like when they did Gamera, and the RiffTrax version is a slightly different film, so it's got a different title. It's not that they changed it themselves just to be, you know, just to make sure it's different. But yes, I agree with Josh. This was an awesome surprise that they released this. I had no idea it was coming because, you know, we don't work for RiffTrax, guys. We don't have explicit insider knowledge of things.
I wish we did.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. But yeah, if you liked the MST3K version, you're gonna like this.
You'll
one.
really like this one. Yeah. This is it's a love letter to the fans.
Look, all the jokes are different, and that really, you know, it makes it worth the watch if you liked the original. And, you know, you're getting the same three guys delivering all the lines that you had in the original. So that's not that different. You know, it's just the jokes they're making is different. The quality of the print is way better. And
it's not like it's not like you're looking at a 160p like squinting to see like what is happening, because the print they did out of MST3K was really bad.
Yeah, it was like a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a VHS tape that you'd watched, you know, 80 times before that.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Speaking of
completely out of left field, and absolutely loved it.
I think this is gonna be on lots of people's like top lists.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it was one of the ones that I voted for in our poll, in our listener poll, and just because this was one that I had been waiting for them to redo for the longest time, and they finally did it. And it's amazing.
I think the only thing that's left on my MST3K redo list is the Final Sacrifice, and that's it.
Oh, I would love to see a new version of that. And there's a couple that I wouldn't mind. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing any of them redone. And I know we've said this, I can't tell you how many times, but any of them that could be brought into the RiffTrax fold, would be my good.
My standard used to be is that anything before Bill came on, because anything during the Sci-Fi Channel era is Mike, Kevin, Bill, and Mike, Kevin, Bill says RiffTrax. It's like, well, they already did it, and we don't really need another version of that. This is just, I consider, as far as RiffTrax is concerned, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this, but I consider the Sci-Fi era of MST3K the best era of MST3K, but also a precursor to RiffTrax. It's like
definitely
the precursor to RiffTrax. So you kind of already have that, but now my policy is anything they want to do, they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain types of movies like Gumby and Dancin and Suburban Sasquatch and Dangerous Men, movies like that. I would prefer that they do. Because I've kind of seen all the 80s. I mean, I haven't seen all the 80s B movies out there. Let's not be ridiculous. But like, what else really is there to do there? But I would like RiffTrax to continue to do whatever they feel like they need to do, creatively, and also to make money, which is another reason why they do the MST3K redos, is because those are big money things. Also, guys, it's just a joke delivery system. The movies are, that's all they are. You know, it's like, you did this, but you did it 30 years ago. It's like, number one, that was 30 years. Think about what you're saying. It was 30 years ago. A baby that was born in 1999 when this episode of Mystery Science Theater 3000 came out is now 30 years old. You can do another version of it. It's fine.
Yeah, this was, let's see. Let's look this up real quick. 1997 was the first time this episode aired.
So it was 24 years ago? Oh, my God.
Yeah, so they could definitely redo this. I mean, and that's the thing. Like you said, with any of these, it was back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
it was in
the
century.
1900s, you know? Now we're in the 2000s.
In the 2020s. And we'll never leave the 2020s. I mean,
No,
but, you know,
ever.
the world's going to end by the year 2030. So let's do whatever we want.
Yeah, this keep redoing MST3K movies. But the movie itself,
Anyway.
you know, if you've never seen the MST episode, or if it's been a while since you've seen it and you kind of forgot, there's a girl, Nastinka, and she's, you know, the cute little girl. It starts out a lot like Cinderella, except the dad's still alive, and she only has one ugly stepsister. But her stepmother hates her, and she makes her do all the chores. She makes her, when we first see her, she has to knit socks for her stepsister, before the sun rises. And the sun's already coming up, and she doesn't have the socks done. And she goes over to the rooster, and she's like, hey, would you, like, not have the sun come up now? And he's like, don't talk to me about it. Go talk to the sun. And she goes and she pleads to the sun to give her a few more minutes to finish knitting the socks. And so time reverses, and the sun goes back down. And as they said in this riff, millions of people just died from the complete reversal, the instant reversal of the rotation of the Earth. And she gets the socks knitted.
Superman.
Yeah. And then we meet Ivan, who is, as I said, he's very self-absorbed, and he's going through the woods, and his mom's telling him, be nice to the weak and honor those who are old. And he's just like, yeah, don't worry about it. And he meets the mushroom wizard, who turns him into a bear because he's a jerk. He doesn't say thank you for the bow and arrow that he gave him. And he kills a bird.
Big problem here, guys. I'm a bear.
Yeah. He throws a feather and he follows it to Nastinka, which is when he actually turns into the bear. And she runs off screaming, and he's like, oh no, what have I done? And he ends up helping this blind woman. After he's like, I gotta do a good deed, and he chases all these little girls, and they're like, there's a bear chasing us. And he's just like, no, I just want to help you. I just need to do a good deed so I can be turned back into a person. But he ends up helping this woman. And then after he helps her back to her little hut, he realizes that she dropped her cane, her walking stick. And he's like, I have to give this back to her. And as soon as he says I have to give this back to her, he gets turned back into a human from the mushroom
You
wizard.
didn't even have to do it.
No. And so he decides he's going to go find Nastinka, and her dad took her out to the woods to leave her there, and he's like, no, I can't do it. And then she's like, he'll be beaten by stepmother if he goes back with me. So she just jumps off the little sled, and she sits in the woods. And that's when Father Frost shows up, and he's like, aren't you cold? And she's like, no, I'm fine. I'm warm enough. And he's like, aren't you hungry? No, I'm fine. And he's like, oh, you are an actual good person. And he takes her to his little house, and she freezes herself on his staff. And she can never be awoken until Yvonne comes and is just like, oh, dang, I love her. And then she wakes up. It's like, what? This was what, a Russian and Finnish co-production, I think.
Yeah, that's not going to cause any problems.
Yeah, I love this movie so much. It's just so bizarre. Baba Yaga's in it. And Baba Yaga's house, for some reason, will listen to Yvonne.
And Baba Yaga fights the Slender Man and a Minotaur.
I mean, she might as well have. It would have made as much sense as anything else in this movie. But yeah, the riff is great. The RiffTrax version of this is so good. And the MST3K version of this is still so good. They're both entertaining in their own way. And like Dave said, it's a joke delivery system.
Yeah, it's like that. Like that's all it is. Like these movies. Now, like I said, movie selection is very important. But at the end of the day, the movie's just a joke delivery system, guys.
Yeah. And I feel like this movie fits very well in the RiffTrax catalog.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's quintessential like RiffTrax kinds of movies, and like this is one of them. I think Dancin is one of them.
Yeah.
I remember when I watched Mothra for the first time, like Mothra and Street Fighter, like those kinds of movies that have like this like really cool, distinct visual look, and that are also like kind of like corny and bad, and just like fun to experience. Those are like the really best kind of RiffTrax movies, and this is that. Father Frost is that because it has a cool, unique look. It definitely has a unique sound to it.
Oh yeah.
That I think what I would compare it to is something that RiffTrax both has and has not done. Is there's a movie out there called Little Red Riding Hood and the Monsters, I think, and it features Stinky the skunk.
Yes.
Yes, he's Little Red Riding Hood's companion, and Stinky is a homicidal maniac. Look it up; it's on YouTube. Little Red Riding Hood and the Monsters, and it's made by the same people who did Santa's Village of Madness.
Yep.
And it has like all those same kind of puppets, but they're way better. And it's like I really, really wish the RiffTrax would do this because it's like the perfect kind of RiffTrax thing. Yeah, like kind of like what we're talking about. And I bring it up because that movie is this kind of movie. It's the kind of just like visceral, like what am I seeing, kind of foreign movie. So, and RiffTrax is very, very, very good at that kind of movie. Like I think another good example would be I Believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's another one that kind of fits into this whole thing.
Yeah, so just like these weird foreign films, yeah, it's really good, and anytime they do something like this, it's always a big treat.
Oh yeah. Now I'm still going to ask you this question, Dave. Would you watch Jack Frost or Father Frost, whatever title it goes by, on Rift?
I don't think I would, and that's not because the movie's horrible. I mean, it is and it's not. I just I think like with this movie and like movies like it, I think if I watched it on Rift, I would just be missing the riffs. I think I would just want to watch it with Mike, Kevin, and Bill. Like I would I would miss them too much. You know what I'm saying? Like with movies like this. So no, I wouldn't, but it's not the movie's fault. I just want to hang out with my friends from RiffTrax more.
I had wanted to find this movie. You know, and I'm sure I could have if I would have actually looked harder for it. But I think I would have before the RiffTrax version came out. Just so I could see the whole thing, you know, with all the stuff that they cut out. Yeah. But I don't have to do that now.
Yeah.
To see the whole movie, so I don't think I would. I may have before, but definitely not since they've, you know, brought it into the RiffTrax catalog, because now I don't have to.
Yeah.
But I think that's really all we need to say about Father Frost, just because it is such a classic. Everybody who's a fan of MST has seen it at least once, and they know what they're getting into with the movie.
Dude, anybody listening to us has seen it. So I mean, like if you're listening to the True Blue Riffcast, you don't need us to tell you about Jack Frost and Father Frost.
No,
you know what I'm saying? It's like It's
you've
like,
seen
we're not
it.
Sit here and insult your intelligence. Let's sit here and talk about the final sacrifice in Space Mutiny and all these other things that you definitely have already seen and know about. So no, we're not going to do that to you guys.
Yeah, no. Now we're going to move on to some very heavy spoiler talk.
Yes. So we are shifting gears. This will now turn into the True Blue Spidey cast.
Yes.
Although I suppose it is RiffTrax adjacent because.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. But for those of you who are going to be saying their farewells right now, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for checking out the podcast. If you like it, you can head to patreon.com/TrueBlueRiffcast, and you can support us over there. Or, of course, you can support us here by subscribing on Twitch. So thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys with our year in review, our best of 2021 episode right at the beginning of January. I will be posting the link to the poll for that on the Twitter account for the podcast at TBRiffcast. So make sure you go over there and you cast your vote. Okay, nice. I think they're gone.
Yeah, get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it's RiffTrax adjacent because of the first series of Spider-Man movies. Because not only do we get Willem Dafoe, and not only do we get Dr. Octopus, but we also get Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker.
The worst kept secret. I don't know if it was a kept secret. Everyone just knew that it was going to happen. So we get Tobey Maguire returns.
Yep.
As Spider-Man 1.
And Andrew Garfield returns as the Amazing Spider-Man. As he calls himself in the movie, Peter 3.
Yep.
And then, of course, we still have Tom Holland as little baby Spider-Man.
Little baby Spider-Man.
Who, up to this point, has not really been Spider-Man. He's been Iron Boy Jr. He's been trying to figure out what it means to be Spider-Man. And through the events of this movie, at the end of this film, as we see, he actually is Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
And for various reasons.
He's got the whole Spider-Man motif. Like everything about Spider-Man, about what Spider-Man is, he becomes by the end of the movie.
Yes. And in definitely more ways than one. But the first surprise of this film, and I think this one is at least more surprising than the other Spider-Man showing up because, that was leaked all over the place and people were trying to figure out if it was real or not. And this one was also leaked, but it didn't garner as much attention, I don't think, as the Spider-Man because it's not as big. But Matt Murdock, as played by Charlie Cox from the Netflix universe.
And that is definitely RiffTrax related because they riffed the first episode of that.
Yes. And he he tells that Peter that he's like, you'll be fine. They have no legal grounding really for this, which I don't really understand how he got him off, but whatever. He got him off of the charges. Although Happy was still in trouble for some missing Stark tech that Peter finds in Happy's apartment later on, after they have to find a safer place to live because of all the press and media attention. But somebody chucks a brick through the window, and Peter is ready to catch it. And right before he catches it, Matt Murdock reaches out and grabs it and stops it. And Peter's just like, how did you do that? He's like, oh, I'm just a really good lawyer. And
This movie is really funny.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a lot of good. Yes, Josh, I was surprised to see Matt Murdock also. I'm glad you didn't see the spoilers. Yes, 100%.
Josh Flowers, put in the chat, have you seen the Hawkeye? Because I'm not going to spoil something for Hawkeye if you haven't seen it. But if you have seen Hawkeye, put it in there because there's something related to this that happens there.
Yes. Yeah, and that was okay. He saw all of Hawkeye.
Okay, good.
So you know what? We'll just Kingpin shows up.
The Kingpin shows up, and they wasted him. I thought that that was a huge mistake.
I don't think
they handled that guy.
I don't think he's actually dead, and that's only because
absolutely not.
Only because of the comics that they were kind of following with this. Has the same thing happens to him. He gets shot point blank in the face, and he gets blinded temporarily. That's all he suffers from that. But I think they do a good job of showing that, he could definitely be somebody to be scared of because, I mean, Kate was getting tossed around by Kingpin like a little doll. Like, she was just in the way, and he's like just throwing her around. She shot him point blank with an arrow. They hit him with a car. She explodes him, and he's fine. I mean, he's limping a little bit towards the end, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think. Look, I don't think he's dead either. What I'm saying is that character, they wasted their opportunity to kind of really give that character a lot of gravitas in the world. At least in this season, I thought that just they should have introduced him 3 or 4 episodes ago. But
yeah, I mean, I get why they did it. As a kind of the big twist. But back to Spider-Man. And, so they're dealing with all this attention now. Everybody knows Pete is Spider-Man. It starts affecting his life. His friends can't get into MIT because they're associated with him. And so he is like, how can I wish I could just make people forget. Or I could change things so it didn't happen.
One thing, sorry, about Pete's friends, about Spider-Man's friends. MJ does could still sort of pass for a movie high schooler. Okay.
Yep.
Ned, no way. Okay. They are doing a really bad job of they're trying, I don't know what it is, but that guy's not a high schooler. Not even a movie high school. It's you can't ignore the fact that this dude is almost 30 years old.
Yeah, Tom Holland, when they first cast him as Spider-Man, he was 18. So they did a good job with that. They got somebody who was actually younger and who looked younger. And I think they did a good job casting him. And I agree about MJ and mostly Ned. He fit in better with the other 2 movies because, he was a little bit younger then still at least. But I love the way that they took this because they have J. Jonah Jameson as revising the role, or J.K. Simmons revising that role. And he's
as Alex Jones.
Yes, he is definitely an Alex Jones type, the big conspiracy theorist and all this stuff. And I love that, they're treating it this way because that's how things are in the real world. We've got stuff like that all the time. But he goes to his high school and the teachers are like, here's a shrine to you where we raise up heroes.
Hilarious.
And Hannibal Buress, who plays the gym coach, was just like...
He's like, no, I hate you.
Yeah, you murdered Mysterio. He's like, I believe him completely. And they're just like, no, he's crazy. Just keep walking. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Oh,
but that was done really well.
That this was I know she was in the movie for 5 seconds, but Betty Brant was great at this movie.
Yes.
Though, just be she was way into Spider-Man, but not into him.
Yeah.
But just as a fangirl, She was just like, now it's like in Spider-Man's high school. Just it was great the way.
Yeah,
they
we're gonna
used- the
follow
way
him
they
around
used
and
her.
talk
Yeah.
about everything he does. It was really good. But he gets upset that because everybody knows who he is, that his friends are suffering, and so he sees some Halloween decorations in the donut coffee shop that MJ works at, and he's like, "Ooh, maybe he can go help." And he goes and talks to Doctor Strange.
Oh,
and-
that doesn't look anything like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I'll go talk to Doctor Strange.
And we find out that currently Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme. Wong is because Doctor Strange he said he got in on a technicality because he was blipped away for 5 years, and so Wong took over
not
as
blipped.
snapped
Dead.
away. Yeah, dead, whatever. So he was gone, so Wong took over and is still currently the Sorcerer Supreme, which makes sense as to why he was the one who goes to get Shang-Chi at the end of the movie and bring him in to talk to the other Avengers, because obviously he's more important now because he's the Sorcerer Supreme. And Wong's just like... The line from the trailer isn't there where he's like, that spell's too powerful, don't do it. He's just like, you shouldn't do this. And Doctor Strange
He's
is
like,
like,
"Leave me out
well,
of it."
I'm going to. And he's like, all right, just leave me out of it then. And, of course, everything goes wrong with the spell because Peter is a teenager, and he just has to keep talking and trying to change things while it's happening. And we all know this part of it. You know, it brings
because
in
it was in
the
we basically
villains.
saw a ton of the movie in the trailers.
Yeah. It brings in the past villains from the other movies, and we get Willem Dafoe back. We get Alfred Molina back. We get Jamie Foxx back, who, you know, I'm going to say I think Jamie Foxx stole every scene he was in this movie.
Yeah.
It
He was horrendous.
was so much
in
better.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
So much better.
He was way better in this movie, and I think he probably has the best joke in the entire movie.
Yeah. I think I know which one you're talking about. Yes, and I definitely agree with that. So they start showing up when Peter decides, Doctor Strange is like, did you at least plead your case with the admissions person? And Peter's just like, what? And he's like, you came here to have me wipe out the memory of every person on this planet, but you didn't think to go talk to the admissions person to plead your case for your friends. And he meets her on the bridge, and that's when we get the fight from the trailers with Doc Ock and Green Goblin.
Now, okay, here's the thing with Alfred Molina in this movie. He is like almost 70, I think, and he was great in this movie. He was fantastic. But like all his action scenes, all his CGI things, he's standing ramrod still. Like all he has to do is stand. And he did all his action scenes just standing there on a green screen. That's all they had to do.
It was just the tentacles moving around.
I thought it was a great way to kind of like utilize the fact that at his age he's not going to be doing stuff that he could probably even barely do 20 years ago. You know?
Yeah, and it's actually they make it a plot point because he's attacking Peter Parker, who's wearing the Tony Stark Iron Spider suit with the nanobots.
Yeah.
And he basically uses the nanobots to take control of Doc Ock's tentacles, and he immobilizes him. So half of the time that he's in this movie, he is immobilized.
He's tied up, yeah.
Yeah, he's literally just standing there. But they made it a plot point because, you know, like Dave said, he probably wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. But we find out that the Lizard and the Sandman and Electro are all there. He gets them all captured.
Also known as Lowell from Wings. Good to see him still alive. I love Lowell. He's my favorite. He's my favorite character from Wings, and he's Sandman.
Yeah. And Peter learns that most of them are going to die at the moment that they go back to their universe, because they basically got pulled from they got pulled from right before they died. But that's because that was when they learn that their Peter Parker is Spider-Man, for the most part, because Electro didn't know that Andrew Garfield was Spider-Man, but he was a good villain, so they kind of, they wanted to use him as a good villain in this movie. But
they kind of
Peter,
had to smudge it to just fudge it a little bit, and
just fudge it a little bit. Yeah, it works for the purposes that they use it for. A lot of the footage I found out with the Lizard and Sandman was actually reused footage from their movies.
Really?
Yeah. They probably couldn't get those two actors to come in for more than just a few scenes because of whatever reason. Maybe COVID, maybe, something else. But some of the effects were the same shots from the movies that they were in. My son pointed that out to me. I thought that was kind of interesting.
So why not?
Yeah. So Peter decides he's going to help them. He's going to help them get back
Dr.
to...
Strange is like, no, you can't.
Yeah, no, you got to send them back to where they came from. And he has this cube with the spell contained inside it. And he's like, as soon as I fix it, I am going to activate it, and they're all going to get sent back to their universes. And Peter takes the cube from him. And that's the other scenes from the trailer where he's going up against Doctor Strange. And he ends up beating him with math.
Yeah.
Because he's like, it's all geometrical.
Geometry. I could do geometry.
Yeah. And so he's like figuring out angles and everything. And they trap him in the mirror universe after Ned grabs his sling ring off of his hand so he can't make a portal to get out. And then a little bit later in the movie, Ned starts accidentally making portals, and that's when the other Spider-Men show up.
Yeah.
Because Ned is magic. But we get a great scene.
Somehow.
We get the great scene when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man shows up, and Mary Jane, or I can't want to call her Mary Jane. She's not Mary Jane. She's Michelle Jones. Michelle Jones Watson. So she is MJ Watson, but it's not Mary Jane. She throws a roll at him because she's trying to prove if he's, actual Spider-Man or not. And it just bounces off him. He's like, what are you doing? She's like, I thought your tingle would catch it. He's like, well, I have that, but it doesn't work with bread. And so she's like, well, prove you're Spider-Man. So he's like, okay. And he kind of jumps up and sticks his hand to the ceiling and just hangs there from his fingertips. And she's like, crawl across the ceiling. He's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And she's like, no, you got to prove it. And so then Ned's grandma comes out and basically asks him if he'll go over and get the cobwebs up in the corner. And so he crawls across the ceiling and gets the cobwebs. And then Ned's like, I got to try and find our Peter. And he opens another portal, and in walks Tobey Maguire. Just straight up Tobey Maguire in street clothes.
Who looks every bit his age.
Yep.
Like I googled it. He's 46.
Oh.
That's not that old, but he looks 46.
Yeah. And at this time, Peter is dealing with trying to help the villains, and they decide. A couple of them decide they don't want to be helped. Electro likes the new power that he has because he's way stronger than he was before, and Green Goblin has taken over Norman Osborn's psyche. And so they break out and they fight and they escape, and Green Goblin kills Aunt May.
Kills Marissa Tomei.
Yeah, and right before she dies.
Not before. This is my least favorite part of the movie. Was when Aunt May says, "With great power comes great responsibility," and I was like, "No, you could have gone." You could have gone these whole movies without saying that.
I mean, it's kind of the whole, that's like the whole mantra behind why he's Spider-Man. With great power, there must also come great responsibility to make it an active choice that he's pursuing to use his powers in this way. And it's fine. But I would have rather it was just the other Spider-Man who said the line to him. Because he repeats it, and Tobey Maguire finishes it.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that's what our Uncle Ben said before he died. And it's just like, okay, they could have just done it that way. It might not have been quite as impactful because, you know, he didn't hear the line right before the loved one died or whatever, but it still would have worked.
I'm going to say something. It's going to be controversial, if you can believe it. After that scene with the three Spider-Men and them bonding over the words power and responsibility, okay, I don't want to hear another damn word about Batman versus Superman and Martha, okay? I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it because that's at least as stupid. You know?
It's pretty close to the same level. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But the bits after that with the three Spider-Men bonding and like talking about shared experiences, that was so good. I would watch so much more of them sitting there and talking about the weirdest villains that they fought and, you know, stuff like that. The best part of that conversation was they had just recently witnessed, they were working in a lab to make the cures, and they witnessed Toby shooting webbing out without web shooters. Yeah. And he was just like, oh, you guys can't do that? It's like, yeah, my body makes mine. And a little bit in the next scene when they're on the Statue of Liberty for this big final fight, they're sitting there talking about that again, and Andrew's like, do you ever have like web blockage? Because I run out of web fluid all the time. It's super expensive to make. And he was like, oh, yeah, that happened to me before. And he's like, oh, well, why? And he's like, I was going through this existential crisis, you know. And so that was kind of a nice callback to the second Spider-Man movie. And then Peter, yes, obviously Peter. Tom Holland asks him, does the webbing just come out of your wrists or does it come out of other parts of your body too? And he's like, no,
like, why are we talking about
just
this?
the wrists.
And then it's to be like, well, we can't do that, so naturally we'd be interested in knowing how you can do that. But they were talking about fighting aliens.
Yeah.
And I love where this went because it's just like, I can't believe they did that. Spider-Man's talking about God damn it.
I know it's hard to keep track.
Tom Holland is talking about Thanos, and Tobey Maguire's talking about me. I've never seen Spider-Man 3, but I assume he's talking about Venom.
Yeah, because he's like, I fought a black goo alien, and Tom's like, oh, I fought aliens too on Earth and in space. And Toby's like, whoa, you fought an alien in space? And Andrew's like, I want to fight it. I want to fight an alien. I'm lame.
I'm lame. I can't believe it. And then Tobey Maguire was like, whoa. Let's not have any of that self-talk. Like, hey, you are amazing.
Yes.
No, say it. You are amazing. That, of course, is a reference to the title of his movies being the
Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So they do their fighting. Doctor Strange shows up after Ned makes a portal to try and escape, and he grabs a sling ring back, and he's just like, "Wait a minute, did you open a portal?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, And then he walks over and he's trying to, release a spell, and they're like, "No, you can't do it. He's got them cured. Look, he cured this one, he cured this one, and he's working on curing this last one." And then like the sky starts cracking apart, and we start seeing outlines of classic Spider-Man villains in the sky. There's Kraven the Hunter. The Rhino is there, but he's like the actual Rhino from the comics, and
not from not Paul Giamatti and
the Russian guy in the rhinoceros robot, as he called him. And I think like
Alex
Black Cat
Kurtzman.
or something. But Peter decides to make the big sacrifice, and he's like, just make it so everybody forgets who I am and activate the spell, and that will stop this, right? And Strange is like, yeah, but you don't have to do it that way. And he's like, no, I do. And he's like, everybody is going to forget Peter Parker even exists. And he's like, okay, do it. And he's like, see you around, kid. And you could tell that he was, even Doctor Strange was really like depressed by having to do this. Like he was very upset about this fact. And so he activates the spell, the original spell, and it goes through, it seals the cracks, and it wipes the minds of everybody on the planet of the fact that Peter Parker is even a person. He gets to say his goodbyes to Ned and MJ and, of course, the other Spideys. And we get a scene then, everything's wrapped up. We get a scene like a month later. It's near Christmas at this point because there's snow on the ground and there's Christmas decorations up. But he goes into the coffee shop, and there's MJ and there's Ned, and they're talking about being excited for going to MIT. And Peter orders a coffee. She doesn't, he's going to tell her who he is and what happened. And he sees that they're living a happy, normal life. And so he decides not to. He goes back to...
breaking his promise.
Yeah.
That's going to blow up in his face.
Yeah.
They're going to get their memories back. It's going to happen.
He goes to Aunt May's grave where Happy is. Happy comes up while he's standing there, and he's like, "Oh, how did you know her?" And he's like, "Oh, through Spider-Man." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's a good dude." And she was a good person, too. And they have a little moment about how the stuff that she wanted to do would carry on because she always believed in kindness and hope and all that stuff. And then it shows him going into his apartment. It's this little rundown, crappy place. And
classic Spider-Man.
Classic Spider-Man. Peter Parker luck. He's got a box with a book for the GED in it because he obviously can't finish high school. We see he's listening to like a police scanner on his phone, and as he takes off to go, follow this crime, it shows like a sewing machine and some blue and red fabric. And then it shows him in the classic Spider-Man look, the blue and the red. And he has no Stark technology because he can't use the fabricator thing because it got destroyed. And he has to make everything on his own. He is Spider-Man at the end of this movie. 100%.
Yeah.
He's at that point now where he is actually officially Spider-Man and no longer the next Iron Man, as everybody kept trying to brand him in the second Spider-Man movie. But yeah, it was a good film. I really liked it a lot.
Yep, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it better than I enjoyed pretty much any movie this year I was at the theater for. I'm trying to think of a movie that I like more, and I can't think of one. Oh, no, wait, I like Cry Macho more than I like this movie. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. We know how you feel about Cry Macho. How much you despised that film.
Well, okay, well, we're talking about Spider-Man, but if I get on Cry Macho, I'm going to talk for 10 minutes. It's how I do. But I think this is definitely of the Marvel things that have happened this year, of WandaVision, which was actually pretty good until they screwed us over the X-Men. Until they just dismissed the X-Men as a boner joke. Yeah, I'm not laughing. It's not funny. Captain America.
Well, I mean, it was Captain
America
and the Winter Soldier by the end of it.
Yeah, by the end, yeah. But by the end, that was just boring. Now, I saw the Eternals in the theater. I enjoyed it while I was in the theater, but then I got to think about that was kind of dumb.
That comes out on Disney Plus in 2 weeks, so I'll be watching it then.
Yeah, it's decent if you don't have to pay $50 for the theater experience. So yeah, that's a good call. Best part of that movie, Rob Stark is fake Superman. That's what he is. He's fake Superman in that movie.
Yeah.
But Shang-Chi and what the hell? Oh, Black Widow. Yeah, all the Marvel things. This Spider-Man movie blows them all out of the water. Now,
I agree.
This movie is we've been talking about the nostalgia monster a lot lately, and the nostalgia monster just got the Matrix.
Yep.
I don't know if I would consider this a nostalgia monster movie, because it is and it isn't. Because I think they did it right. I think they found a way to bring in the nostalgia elements, but keep it fresh and about what's new. Because this movie was not about. I mean, clearly, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are a huge part of this movie, but it's not their movie. Ultimately, it's Tom Holland's movie, and they're there to support him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get what you mean, because I feel the same way
yeah.
about it.
So I think that, like, it didn't try to, like, do a lot of deconstruction, and now in superhero movies, like, I think really you only have this problem with, say, Superman and Batman and Spider-Man, people who have a lot of rogues gallery recognizable villains. I think Batman probably has the most recognizable rogues gallery. I think Superman and Spider-Man are tied, that are, like, right behind him as far as, like, recognizable classic villains go.
Yeah. Like
when
Stiltman.
When you have recognizable classic villains like that, and you do a movie with them, a lot of those times the studio feels like that villain is used up, and they won't want to do another movie with that villain. I think the exception to this rule, however, is obviously the Joker.
I think that's why Marvel kills so many of their villains.
Yeah. So they want to keep things fresh and be like, okay, this movie is about Spider-Man versus Doc Ock, which is Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man versus Venom and the Sandman, which is Spider-Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man versus the Lizard, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man versus Electro, and a bunch of other garbage. Spider-Man Homecoming, Vulture, Spider-Man No Way Home, Mysterio. And in this movie, I think they wanted to bring all those guys back. But, they didn't want to do it the way that Alex Kurtzman was going to do it in that ill-fated Spider-Man universe that they had to do it. They're just like, you know what? You're not going to do this anymore. Go ruin Star Trek.
Which he has.
Yes, he's destroyed Star Trek. So what they did was, it's just like, well, we have all these villains from previous franchises. We want to do them again, but they already exist in these previous movies. Let's bring, and I think they did it a really cool, fun thing that you wouldn't be able to do with, like, say, Batman. You wouldn't be able to do this with Batman. Bring the previous versions into this and have it be a love letter, really. Have it be part love letter to the previous series. And each of the movies is represented. But they're having their cake and eating it too. They're going to have 5 villains in this movie. And so now all those villains are now part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
So
and they have made the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man the first movie in the MCU retroactively.
I don't know. Well,
because it just takes place in one of the other areas of the multiverse, which is all canon.
I wouldn't go that far personally, but I can understand how people would make that argument. But but it does a lot of really cool things while maintaining its integrity as its own thing.
Yeah.
So I think it did it very, very well, and I'm probably going to see this movie in the theater again. I
would like to. I would definitely like to see it again.
The last time that happened was with The Rise of Skywalker. I went to go see it a second time because maybe I'll like it in a second. No, wrong. It didn't happen. It didn't go down like that. But I haven't seen a movie twice in this theater since COVID. So this is probably going to be the first. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to go see it again.
Cool. And that's...
Oh, Josh Flower says he's going to go see it again.
Yeah, he wants to go see it again, too. A lot of people want to see it again. I know my son's going to see it again tomorrow with his friends. And, or Tuesday? I don't know. He's going soon to see it again. But, yeah. It was a really good movie. I loved it a lot. And I want to go see it again also. I don't really have anything else to add on top of what we've already said and what Dave just got done talking about, but
yeah,
I think that's going to do it for us tonight.
Nice. This is okay. I think this is a record. I think.
Oh yeah.
Let me.
2 hours and 5 minutes.
2 hours 5 minutes. I don't even think any of our Mando casts were that long.
Nope, I don't think so. But hey, speaking of Mando casts, we're going to be diving back into the world of Star Wars. Probably with our first regular episode of the next season, because the Book of Boba Fett starts up next week, and we'll definitely be wanting to talk about that, I'm sure.
What are we going to be calling that part of the podcast? Is it the True Blue Boba cast? We were talking about this before, and like the True Blue Boba cast is like, I keep wanting to say the True Blue Boba Fast or Fett. It's like that's I don't know how it's
the True Boba cast. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
True. No, still true. Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll do it. I mean, like it took me 12 weeks to learn to say how to say my own Twitter handle correctly. So,
and we'll see if he can do it again right here in a second. I'm Jeremy. You can find me at pbnawesome.com on Twitter. You can find me pretty much everywhere else online under that same name. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at tbriffcast. And don't forget, I'm going to be posting the link to the poll for the best of 2021. So make sure you share that around for us and help us get a lot of votes on it. And it'll be interesting to see how close we are to what the rest of the RiffTrax fandom thinks were the best of the year. I know usually it's pretty similar for us, but there have been a few outliers that we were kind of surprised over the past couple of years that got as many votes as they did over other things that we thought were more worthy of it. But that's why we do this, because we want all of the RiffTrax fans out there to have a voice on this also. So that's on Twitter at TBRiffcast.
Keep in mind, in 2019, The Visitor came out of nowhere and won Riff of the Year. So, just throw that out there. Oh, right. Am I talking? Is it my thing?
It's your turn.
Okay. Yeah. Hi, I'm Dave. You can follow me on my website at davechadwick.info. You can buy all my books there: Monkey, Tumbleweed Dossier, Son of Santa, Happy Valley. And you can follow me on Twitter at dchadwickauthor.
Hey, you got it right again.
Yeah.
That's three times in a row that you got that.
I got my own, because it's so weird, because it's usually like for 14 years it was like at Sugar Ray Dodge, and now it's just like, well, I'm using my real name now instead of my goofy pretend name. But yeah, so yeah, we're good. And Jeremy, do you know what you're going to be voting for Riff of the Year? I think I know what I am. I mean, I already voted in the poll.
I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to pick, but we'll find out.
I think I know what I'm going to pick for number one. Yeah, okay. I just got them firmly in my mind, 1, 2, and 3.
All right.
For VODs anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll be letting everybody know those choices next week sometime. But thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys next time on the True Blue Riffcast.
Rock till you die.
Rock till you die.